Okay. American inventor and entrepreneur Charles Kettering once said, "The world hates change, yet it is the only thing that has brought us progress." Things are always changing. I remember that today, as I found out there was no parking across the street, and I went, well, I can't complain about that. It's part of the talk. It's change. So we just changed where we parked. It's always happening. Change is always occurring. And it is occurring at a faster pace than ever because this is humanity's leap in consciousness that we've been talking about. This is the last in the series of talks on change. Some changes are expected. Others are complete surprises. Some are pleasant. Some are devastating. Some we orchestrate, and others come out of the blue, right? In some, we see immediate good, but in others, we're hard-pressed to find what's good about this. But change is happening. It always will. It always has. And I stand in the absolute and complete knowing, gotta know it, even from a spiritual perspective of knowing, that change is for the better. Change is for the better. And that change occurs because our souls, our essence of our being, have called it forth on some level of our being. And it's been called forth so that we may expand and grow. Neil Donald Walsh, whose book we've been using all month, When Everything Changes, wrote this. We've all heard it 100 times, and it seems incredibly trite to say it again. But here we go. For every door that closes, another one opens. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you've lost. Your job, your house, your spouse, your credit, your hopes, even your health. It doesn't matter what you've lost or what has been so drastically changed in your experiences, because again, we can always create, and that creation can bring us to new heights of being that we have no idea are on the other side of change, the other side. And I promise that. Well, I'm taking what Neil Donald Walsh wrote, and I'm just running with it because it is true. It is true if you believe it is true. And today, we're going to look at a really powerful tool. We've been using tools for change all month. This is one of our last tools that we are going to be using, and it is feeling excited and ready. And so as you know, that's an acronym. FEAR. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. First, I want to take a moment to look at an example. This is a great example of that tool, feeling excited and ready. It is exemplified in the life of composer Franz Joseph Haydn. Although he didn't know it, he just rolled with the changes. As a small child, Haydn was trained to sing and was taken at the age 8 into the cathedral choir at St. Stephen's in Vienna. Here he sang solo parts and received valuable musical instruction as well as earning his living. He was a member of the choir for 9 years, and then something monumental, a change took place. Anyone guess what it was?
Puberty.
Yeah, his voice changed, right? It shifted. And when that happened, the director fired him and turned him out onto the street. At 17, he had lost the only life he had known, and he was penniless. Wow, big change, big change. Yet he took what he learned and went on to become a teacher and a composer. So in 1760, he was made musical director at the court of the Prince of Austria. He held this position most successfully for 30 years. Then the prince died, and the musical group was disbanded. And Haydn, now 58, which in those years was ancient, was without work. And this change was none of his doing either, but it happened. But he refused to be ruffled. He accepted commissions for 2 composing and conducting ventures in London, and there began doing some special teaching, with Beethoven being one of his students for a time. He now had the leisure time to enjoy his fame and his many friends, and to write some of his most famous compositions, The Creation and The Seasons. Twice in his life, he had been cast aside, but each time he built a new and better life from the change, because whether he did it consciously or not, he lived in change, and it was all for the better. Maybe you can think of instances, I sure can, many, where the change took place, which at the time felt devastating, but always for the better, always for the better. And yet, we can still look at changes, and they can look like they are not for the better, right? They can look pretty devastating, really, really scary. They can be scary and exciting at the same time. You might even say, if all things happen for the better, and this really is true, then what in blazes does God have in mind with the changes I'm going through right now? Because they sure don't feel better whatsoever. In fact, they look a lot worse. And that question leads us to our next tool for our spiritual toolkit. Our tool today says, change your idea about the changes occurring in the first place. Change your idea about the changes. Why the change occurred in the first place, and that's a really a big one to shift. Like, this change is taking place. We don't know why most of the time in that moment. Sometimes we do, but most of the time we don't. And this change did not occur because we live in a scary, scary world that is out to get us. I don't believe that for a second, but some people do. It didn't occur because we've been bad or that we've misused the law and that we need to make the most of it. No, none of that is true. So take a deep breath and exhale. I'm going to tell you. The change occurred because we wanted it to occur. You may be thinking right now, I don't think so. I most definitely did not call this change into being. No way, Jose, I didn't do this. This change happened. But listen to this. No one in their right mind would have wanted a change like this, but if you're thinking this, you are correct. You are correct. No one in their right mind would choose something like this. But your mind didn't make the choice. Your soul did. Your soul made this choice so you could evolve. We stay stagnant when there are no changes, and even in the stagnation, changes are going to occur. It's how we change our thinking about change. So, my friends, you are not a victim of change, a victim of circumstance, but rather you are the cause of it. If you're experiencing it, it's in your life. It's in your life. Now, this idea can be challenging, difficult to grasp without a clear, very clear understanding of who we really are, of our true identity here on earth. See, this is key. This is the beauty of these spiritual teachings. It gives the answers to these questions of what our true identity on this earth plane here might be. Walsh suggests that in order to deepen into who we really are, into our true identity here on this earth plane, we must look at life's 4 fundamental questions. There's 4 fundamental questions he's got. And he asked these questions, and he allowed the answers to flow through him, and he writes about them in his book. So the questions are, who am I? Since the beginning of time, who am I? Where am I? Why am I here? What am I doing here? So he allowed the answers to come to him, and these are the answers that he wrote in his book. First, who am I? You are an individuation of divinity. There is only one thing, and all things are part of that one thing, that one life. That life is God expressing itself through you. You are part of life. Therefore, you are a part of God. The only way this could not be true, he says, would be if life and God were somehow separate. And such a thing is impossible. We don't believe that. We believe it's all one, this unity. God and I are one. So that's not true. We are expressions of divinity. That is our absolute truth. Then he writes, where am I? You are in the realm of the physical, having a physical experience. Which part of what you call heaven? The sadness is that you do not think you are in heaven. And so I love when he writes this, your imagined reality is that you have to get there. In fact, there's nothing you have to do, he says, to get there. Nothing you have to be, nowhere you have to go to experience paradise. Merely look upward on a starry night, or outward over a foaming ocean, or toward the skyline at dusk or dawn. You are in heaven, and you are calling it something else, and you are acting as if it were something else. And so, of course, you have created it as something else. It's a matter of our perception, perspective, of what we are actually experiencing in this human realm. We're creating our experiences. Why am I where I am? Why am I where I am? And this is the answer he got. You are where you are because in the realm of the spiritual, you can know absolutely who you are, but you cannot experience that in relative terms. And so you venture into the realm of the physical so that you may gain a world of experiences so that you can evolve and expand. Your soul evolves constantly. And we're doing it through this human realm. That's why we're in these physical forms, these bodies. What am I doing here? 4th question. You are here to use the tools and devices. The devices includes this physical body that are only available in the realm of the physical, to bring about the world of experiences your soul wishes to have, so that you will come to know your true self in a tangible, physical way, in the same way that you know yourself, he says, in the realm of the spiritual. Those of us who've been studying this teachings for long enough, we know who spiritually we are. It's the human part. And that's why we're having this experience. And that's why change occurs. Change doesn't occur in spirit. Change is permanent. It's moving and flowing and creating and all of that. But the very nature of divinity is changeless. So therefore, the within part of us, the all of us, the true self of us, is changeless. Walsh calls this the system of the soul. There is who we are, where we are, and why we're here. Walsh's wife, M.E.M., Claire, wrote this beautiful poem about the system of the soul, to go into Walsh's book. This is what she wrote. I am that I am, and so much more. The light, the sound, the living God on the ground. I could show you the feather in the wing, every color and hue, every beautiful thing. But I am that I am wants to love whatever has not yet had it, whatever has not yet known it, however life's not yet felt it. There is still so much loving yet to be found, just living God on the ground. Beautiful poem. That's what we are. We're living our God self on the ground, on this human realm. And so, my friends, changes occur so that we can live a greater life, a greater degree of being God on the ground. The divine is expressing in and through us and delights itself in experiencing itself through us. We are individual expressions of the divine. It is expressing in and through and as each one of us. Everything that changes at your direction. You want it to occur because you are continually choosing the perfect people, places, and conditions with which to experience what you next seek to experience. As you move forward in the process of the evolution of your soul. But that doesn't mean it comes without fear. A good old-fashioned, if you will, fear. And then there was this comic strip, I don't know if you remember it, Dilbert. I don't even have comic. I don't know if they have comic strips anymore. It used to be fun. But anyway, Dilbert's comic strip was, he's in this office and he's talking to his colleague, and he says, change is easy. You go first. Nobody really wants change. You know, certain kinds of change. Most change. Unless we orchestrate that change in it. We do on a soul level, but it doesn't feel like that on a human level. So yes, it can definitely be scary. It can be frightening. And I love the acronym that Walsh has for fear. And most of you know the old acronym, which is a step up, false evidence appearing real. But Walsh takes it to a new level when he says, feeling ready and excited. Feeling ready and excited. Are you feeling ready and excited today? Anyone? No, they said. Well, if so, and if not so, please repeat this after me. I am feeling excited and ready.
I am feeling excited and ready.
For the good this change is bringing.
For the good this change is bringing.
My soul brought it on.
My soul brought it on.
So I might live more fully.
So I might live more fully.
I live God on the ground.
I live God on the ground.
That's right. So it is. Mark Twain once said, you love Mark Twain, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you did not do than the things that you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, and discover. Couldn't have asked for anything more beautiful. So as we have done in the past few weeks, I want you to bring your mind to a place within you that whatever change might be occurring, maybe none is right now, but it will. But if there is some big change occurring right now, just bring it into your mind and allow yourself to feel the emotion, and it could be fear. Allow yourself to feel it. be with it. It's okay. And now we're going to shift slightly or completely our perception about fear. Realize in your mind and in your heart that this fear you are experiencing around this change is really your soul feeling excited and ready for the newness this change will absolutely bring about, for the expanded way of being that will result because of this change, for the opportunities and experiences that will happen because it happened. Realize this fear is really the essence of you feeling excited and ready to jump into life at its next level, whatever that is. And I can actually feel the energy in the room. There's a lot of people going through a lot of changes in this room. So we're shifting our idea of how we feel about change. We're changing that idea. We're feeling ready. It's happening anyway. We're embracing it because it's happening anyway. And we are knowing deep within us that our soul has called this forth so that we may have a more evolving, expanded level of beingness. A beingness that absolutely will bring us to a place of peace and wholeness. And I'm claiming that for each and every one of us. And in that then, I let it be, and so it is.
So it is.